it's not the Ethereum ETF that we should be talking about. In fact, it's probably not the politics we should be talking about. You guys want to make massive gains this coming bull run. And today I'm going to tell you guys about 5 massively undervalued altcoins that could easily do 50x. They have been lagging, and for good reason. But today I'm going to show you some news on why potentially these things can massively outperform in this coming bull run. And there's something that you guys should be paying attention to. So without further ado, guys, if you're excited for the video, happy Friday. Dad, if you're watching, happy birthday. I'll give you a call afterwards. And without further ado, guys, let's get into it. If you're new to the channel, what's up? Subscribe. My name is Chasse. I've been in crypto for 12 years. And it's days like today when I get to bring you some crazy alpha that everybody else is sleeping on. So let's get into it. And guys, let me know in the comments below if you prefer live shows or these recorded videos. It's different, right? I really enjoy interacting with you guys in live shows, but they tend to drag out a bit longer. So, you know, I don't know. Let me know. I'm going to figure it out. But right now I'm on the road traveling a bunch. I'll be in Austin for Consensus next week. So if you're there, let me know. Let's meet up. And I'll be doing the U.S. road, the U.S. tour as well. So, guys, let's get into it. And we're going to look quickly here at this Bitcoin chart. And it's Bitcoin, but let's go look at the more interesting one over here, and Ethereum, right? So what should we, what can we look at from Ethereum? Well, let's take a look at the daily chart over here, right? And what we can see here is essentially since the bottom, it's been up, right? But it's been definitely lagging. And it wasn't until kind of speculation started coming around that maybe an Ethereum ETF would be after Bitcoin. We kind of saw this run up right over here. And when the market corrected, and just people that became very apathetic around ETH. In fact, I mean, it hasn't even hit its old all-time highs yet, unlike Bitcoin, who not only passed them earlier before the halving, but pretty strong and is just teetering right there. It just wants to break through those actually the new all-time highs very, very badly. ETH still has to catch up. So a lot of people are wondering what is exactly going to happen now that we potentially likely have the Ethereum ETF approved. Well, we're going to get into that in just a second here, guys. So as you can, Mario said, and everybody else said, as you can tell from the thumbnails and all over the do we call this crypto X now or X crypto? So everyone ETH ETF approved, blah 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 blah. ETH ETF approved, and the difference is it came out of literally nowhere. And so last time when with Bitcoin, you know, all the firms had time to make their commercials and they had time to do this and that. But we saw literally, and I made a video. I told you guys exactly what was going to happen. Right, it's one of the better performing shorts that I have on the channel. Was a clip from that video as well. So if you go to shorts and sort by popularity, you'll see. And I told you exactly how it was going to happen. I was off by the price a little bit, but I told you how it was going to happen, right? And it's because we have this psychology it's just in us where we're all anticipating something to happen, and then when it actually happens, it's kind of this the news event. Why? Because it kind of has hit the pinnacle of where we expected it to happen, as far as like the creme de la creme of where you can be from an acceptance regulatory perspective, right? In the crypto space, that would be something like a Binance listing. And in the institutional space, that would be something like a stock market trading, and where everyone in the world can come and participate because you have this security that wraps Bitcoin, and we call this, or ETH, and we call this an ETF. So what does that all mean? Well, basically, James over here at Bloomberg says, guys, like, just to be clear, these Ethereum ETFs, we don't know when they're going to start trading. And in my book, that's good. It gives us a little bit more time to chop sideways. And that's what we really want to see, because the longer we chop sideways, the more time that we have to essentially pack our bags with things that we discover. And like I said before, you should be learning right now. You should be learning. You should be figuring out where you want to position yourself. in the market, you know, and as long as we continue to have this kind of chop sideways zone and it doesn't break through here aggressively and confirm a breakout as well, continue just for a while on doing this over here, right? And so this is all the way back, you know, in March essentially, and we're now in May. So it hasn't been so long, but we're talking about, you know, 2.5, 3 months already coming up on it. Literally, guys, this could chop sideways for another 2, 3, 4 months, even potentially. Yeah, you know, let's say 2, 3 months. But what I expect to happen is if we don't get the ETFs trading for a while, meaning that buy and sell orders can come in, the bullish momentum that we have from politics, the bullish momentum that we have from all the news, the bullish momentum that institutional money will continue flowing in. And trust me, institutional money continues to flow into the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Like we said before, there's this lagging period of about 90 days where the big players need to start doing their due diligence. And I think there's even some sort of rule around it where they can't start buying it right away. And now what you see in Bitcoin is pretty much on the daily basis, consistent inflows in. And so Ethereum, you know, what's going to happen? Well, it's probably going to do the same kind of thing, right? And so I don't know when it's going to be start trading. None of us really do. But let's see, how do we draw like squiggly lines at this thing? I don't even know. I'm not a technical analyst. Let's say we draw like this. Yeah, let's draw like this. So does this work? Let's see, draw. Hello. Yeah. So you know, we're probably gonna go like this and this and this and this and then this and this and this. And then at some point, what's gonna happen is we'll break through and then we'll come over like this, and then it's gonna go like this. And then, now look at my lines. Then what's gonna happen, guys, is we're gonna go continue to continue like this. Let's see, where are we? We're probably going to go all the way over to $20.25. Yeah, anyway, it'll be like this. Pow. Literally. Right? But probably a little bit more sideways because we'll probably break through, you know, most likely somewhere in here is my guess, you know, September, October, but it could be sooner. It could be sooner because Bitcoin always leads the way. And with the supply crunch on Bitcoin, yeah, it'll likely probably happen sooner because of the supply crunch on Bitcoin is a very real thing. Every single day, you got more institutions, more countries, more super rich people buying Bitcoin, and the fact that there's a very, very, very limited supply will cause a supply shock where it just goes absolutely nuts. And as money flows from Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins to large caps, less risky, less upside, then they flows down the value chain all the way down to the degenerate low caps that are, and those are the ones that end up doing 100x, 200x, 300x. And we will talk about those when the time is right, right? Today, we are not going to talk so much about the shitcoin casino that is meme coins. We talk a lot about that already, and I'm not done with it. But today, I'm going to bring you some alpha that you should definitely be paying attention to. So, you know, this is the thing, right? This is the thing here that everyone's scared about. What happens when Grayscale starts trading and they just start dumping all over your face? Like, that's a very real, because you have the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, right? But they already filed, I believe, for this new, I don't know, mini thing or whatever. But it's going to happen again, right? We talked about this the other day. There's a ton of upside. People made the trade. They did extremely well. And I expect that's it to happen again, right? So things are looking positive over here, right? What seems to be doing really well? Well, we've got Ondo, Link, Lido, Rune, Algo. So we got some like layer ones, DeFi stuff. what really seems to be is kind of like link ecosystem. Earlier in the day, Uni was exploding. Let's see how a little bit of a pullback, but near. What's up, Ilya? Shout out to my boy Ilya. So on the week, Bonk is looking pretty good. You've got this math over here, which is the Mantle chain staked ETH. Pepe doing pretty well, but don't forget the pepening is a happening. And I will tell you this. It's something that this is the hard thing about this space, is that I told you guys very clearly that I sold all my Pepe, this Pepe, the one that's now worth $6 billion for PepeCoin. And what do I think? How do I feel? Do I regret it? No, because I do believe that, well, so generally speaking, I do believe that people are going to start to see a flight to quality, right? And why is that? Well, because we have Wall Street coming in. We've got big money, family offices, and I see this, guys. I talk to family offices, institutional firms that were just Bitcoin only, right? But they talk to us, right? And then, we're sitting there and they're like, yeah, we have Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I just made literally like 100x on this WIF thing, like in a couple months. And, even though they're slower and things just, their whole life have been moving slower, that gets them a little bit like, what? Really? Is that possible? And so it's kind of the gateway, right? Bitcoin is kind of the gateway into the crypto ecosystem. They're like, ooh, we're being risky. We're going to buy Bitcoin. And then now that the Ethereum ETF is likely to start trading and being approved, well, it was approved on the 19B4s, waiting for the S1s. But that's going to be the gateway to smart contracts. And in my opinion, ETH will outperform Bitcoin in the last half of this year, and probably also will probably outperform Bitcoin from today moving forward. Will likely outperform Bitcoin, or even from the all-time bottom to the all-time top of this cycle, it will outperform. So what does that do? Well, that gives the guys who now got exposure to Bitcoin, that's a gateway drug, started taking little hits of Ethereum, and then they want to start exploring into kind of the, they started seeing like, what it would be like to get a little bit more risk and starting to make more money. And then they're going to start dabbling in things like Solana and things like Cardano and all these other kind of things, right? Avalanche and these kind of things. And those, because we're going to be in a crazy bull market, they are going to go up more than the things that are more expensive by market cap valuation. But there's going to be, like, meme coins will not go away. It's permanently embedded into our culture. And that's going to be, that's literally going to be the casino side of the business, right? And now crypto has a casino. So let's just get that on the table and get that very, very clear. And so most people know 99.999% of the meme coins will go to basically zero, right? Once in a while, they'll come along and a new one will come along, establish itself as a blue chip, the ones that have longevity, the ones like WIF, for example. And the rest will come and go. And it's a question of, where do you want to put your money? And so I think it's a great idea to allocate a very small percentage of your risk portfolio. For me, I'm almost 100% in crypto. And so I have a very small, not very small, because the gains were substantial, right? We got into Bonk earlier. We made good money there, but I don't have any Bonk anymore. We got into WIF very, very early, 100x, and I still hold majority of that. I actually sold a small amount of that. Like, it was, I don't know what it was. It was maybe 5%, 4%, something like that of my, it was less than that. 1/40th or something of my whiff, and I bought Michi with it recently. We'll see how that goes. Cat season means it seems to be the kind of the most popular one. But anyway, today we're not here to talk about memes. We are talking about this idea of actually finding some things with some value here, right? And people were talking about this as well too. I just want to mention this quickly. So House passes bill to ban Federal Reserve from issuing CBDC. Okay, that's cool. But if you've been following along on the channel, you know that the Fed was likely to not have control of the CBDC. From what I've been reading, it's always been the plan, or at least, the things I've read, was that the government planned on skipping the Fed when it comes down to CBDC. So the Fed may keep its position somehow, and there may be some relationship of like the US dollar compared to the central bank digital dollar, or US dollar. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to play out, but this doesn't surprise me that, they don't want the Fed, which is essentially a private institution, to control the dollar. And why would they do that? Because, the most powerful people in the world run the Fed. Well, that's because you need a scapegoat, right? If you're going to essentially create a new monetary system, because the existing one is completely broken and flawed and hyperinflating like crazy, you need to be able to point the finger to somebody and say it's your fault that we're in the situation. And it's okay if the paper dollar inflates away, because now we've got central bank digital dollar, and that's a new thing, right? And it's no longer controlled by the Fed. It's controlled by central banks. Anyway, this to me doesn't excite me, because I think that it was never going to be the Federal Reserve printing the central bank digital dollar. Do I think that this means that CBDCs aren't going to happen? No. They're happening for sure. This is why you need to be in things like Bitcoin and other decentralized assets. That way you protect yourself from this insane kind of dystopian future of the powers that be having control of your safety, your financial sovereignty, these kind of things, right? Bitcoin is the long-term store of value, the thing that you should be taking profits into. In my opinion, this is what I do anyway. None of this is financial advice, of course. So we also have this change in sentiment in politics. Crypto all of a sudden has become a big deal in politics. And this wouldn't make you look very good. I'm going to scroll like this. And this is all of every single one of these things is a project that the SEC has gone after, in the past, I don't know, let's see, is this dated by date? Since 2017 or so, right? And it's a lot. So of course people are leaving and don't want to be, the US gets so completely screwed on the deal and left out of everything. So now this was actually shocking to me. Now it seems like because the regulatory environment is now looking like it's going to become more favorable, or at least more clear, you have companies like Circle, which is USDC, which makes sense actually that they would come back to the States because it is US dollar coin. And you've got Galaxy Digital coming back to the US as well. And I still don't get this. Why would you do that now when we still don't have clarity on what's happening, right? Even if the FIT 21 gets passed, approved, so that essentially a new government entity will start taking over the regulation and rules for digital assets and blockchain, and kind of say, hey, guys, Gary, CFTC, chill out. We got this. It's our jurisdiction now. Yeah. It's our jurisdiction now. If we need you, we'll let you know. Right? Okay, so now I'm going to go into, now we're going to get started with the altcoin section. And the first one is going to shock you, because it shocked me. Now, it's a very unpopular opinion, but it's important that you be aware of what is going on, as I believe this next coin can be crazy undervalued for what's going on, right? And let's just take a look at it. So the news. And I've been seeing a lot of people here talking about that Solana or XRP might be the next ETF. I don't think so. Why? Well, Solana is unreliable when it comes down to consistency and uptime. So maybe one day it becomes, institutionally adopted, and, you've got big banks and stuff like that store their value on Sol, but not now, not yet, not until it proves that it's secure, that it doesn't go down, because financial institutions cannot have downtime when they're doing business, right? You just can't have that happen. So Ethereum, on the other hand, it hasn't gone down, but there's one interesting token here. This is the CoinGecko section that says top alleged SEC securities by market cap. So these are all the coins or tokens that have been identified to be securities according to the SEC. Now, this could matter a lot less if the SEC is clearly told to stay out of the crypto business and go sit on the sideline and actually do your job and protect people from losing money and preventing scams. But this is the cryptos that have been identified by the SEC, or the SEC claims that they are securities. BNB, Binance Chain, Solana, Telegram Chain, Ton, Cardano, Charles got pissed when this happened, Tron, Justin Sun, Near Protocol, Polygon, ICP, Cosmos, Filecoin, Algorand, Flow, Axie Infinity, etc., 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 etc. But when it comes down to the top protocols in this space, this is the top list over here. One of them that isn't mentioned, two of them actually. I didn't see Avalanche on the list, but the interesting one here, ¿dónde está? Chainlink wasn't on the list either. ¿Dónde es? ¿Dónde es? Here. And Polkadot isn't on the list either. And this Polkadot has done almost nothing the entire forever. Now, why would I, and I was publicly very bullish on Polkadot back in 2021 when it just kind of launched its mainnet. Why? Because Gavin Wood, who was the creator, founder, visionary behind Polkadot, he was one of the main founders of Ethereum. Along with Vitalik, Gavin wrote the technical paper. He developed the smart contracts, and he's a very hardcore decentralization kind of guy. But this thing has just not been moving, right? If you've been sitting in DOT for a whole while, like so far, it hasn't been a good year. ¿Dónde es? Okay, here we go. So you can see it's just fairly overwhelming for the entire. This is the max chart over here, and you can see that in 2021, it pumped like crazy. You had a $54, so 8 times, almost 8 times higher than it is right now at all-time price. It is sitting 86% down from all-time high when Bitcoin has broken all-time high, and Ethereum is getting really close to old all-time highs. Not so close yet, but way, I think maybe it's 10%, 15%, where Polkadot is down 86%. Now, another thing I like, and just trust me, I'll tell you why in a second. Another thing I like about Polkadot is that you have the majority of the tokens are currently in circulation. Yes, there is small inflation, but the market cap to FDV ratio over here is 0.94, right? So it's like for every 10 billion, there's 940 million already in circulating. So you're not going to get investors dumping on you. Basically, the remaining tokens that are in circulation are things like ecosystem, growth and development, grants, things like that to help build the ecosystem. Now, who cares, Kyle? Well, it takes one DApp, decentralized application, to build on a blockchain that is already massively used in the world, for that blockchain to be doing the most transaction volume and have the most users using on a daily basis. It just takes one DApp. And we haven't had that happen yet on any chain, not on Solana, not on ETH, not on Aptos. It hasn't happened. Let me ask you this. What do you think would happen to X if Elon decided to decentralize it and then add a token to the ecosystem and let that thing rip? Well, it would probably skyrocket to absolute Valhalla. Now, let me bring your attention down here to TikTok. TikTok has 1.582 billion people that use this thing on a monthly basis. That is, according to April 2024, so just last month's data, according to Twitter's 611 million. Versus, it's basically, TikTok has basically double the users than X, right? And so if we go, and let's say that we, I'll say that for later. But, okay, so why the change in sentiment, Kyle? Because you know that we were building there before. I left. I was frustrated with them. They weren't doing marketing. They just thought if you build it, they will come. And about 4 or 5 months ago, Polkadot decided to allocate some of the treasury to marketing. And that's kind of starting to kick in. But that's not the important thing, because they're also going through this revamp of what they call Jam, which is like, I forget what it means. But this is also extremely important here, right? So Web3 Foundation announces Polkadot blockchain's native token DOT has morphed and is a software, not a security. I remember I was at one of the Polkadot conferences when they talked about this. And as you can see, basically they worked closely with the SEC and their strategic hub and financial innovations sector. And they've never been called a security ever by the SEC. And we know the institutions are holding Polkadot and speculating on it. And then we know it's about to go through this upgrade called Jam. Now, what is Jam going to do? Jam is going to use Polkadot's infrastructure, this thing in the middle, if you will, called a relay chain. That's where all the data, storage, confirmation, and consensus happens on that main chain. Before, the economic model wasn't so great. It would cost you X amount of DOT tokens. You'd have to lock them up, and you would basically lease the spot for a period of short term or long term. And after that term is over, you essentially get, if you're done with your project, you can just take it off of the parachain and maybe use something like a pay-as-you-go model. These are called parathreads. Sorry. Okay, so cool, Kyle, whatever, right? Well, I've always been bullish Polkadot's tech. I've always been bearish Polkadot's marketing. It was a big pain point for us. But like I said before, it only takes one big application to be built on something, and it changes the game forever, right? It changes the game forever. So potential US TikTok buyer plans to decentralize TikTok could relay on Polkadot parachain. Now, the backstory here is that China owns TikTok, ByteDance, and the US administration thinks that having China have access to this platform that then has access to every user's camera, microphone, whatever, that it can be used to steal secrets and to do all this kind of stuff. So the US has been pushing hard to get the Polkadot, or sorry, the TikTok version separated as an American company that can service Americans and decentralize that. And this is something that a lot of us have been looking forward to, is some sort of decentralized social media platform where we can say what we want, don't have to worry about censorship, and it just works. So this is very, very big news. And I can imagine that if TikTok does end up building on Substrate and a Polkadot parachain, it's going to bring massive, massive, massive awareness to the ecosystem, and then other people will follow suit. So this holder scan, well, I'll get back to it in just a bit, but I wanted to pull this up real quick because we'll come back to it when we start talking about a little bit more low cap coins, but you can see it takes a while to load. That's why I wanted to do it now. And where are we? So this is Frank McCourt organizing a people's bid to acquire TikTok. And basically, Frank McCourt is a billionaire, and he's also leading the project, or other people are supporting the project, like Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the internet, and others, right? And Gavin Wood, the founder of Polkadot, has been working really hard to build this infrastructure and make it scalable that everyone wishes we were here already. And they also needed to pivot because the parachain model was not economically advantageous for people who just want to spin up their own layer one, be able to experiment with it. And then if the time is right, how these people used to think, they would then go and get a parachain, which is a parathread is pay as you go for every transaction on the chain, the relay chain, or the monthly or yearly fixed fee where you pay a bulk transaction. It's a bit cheaper, but you're locked in there for like 2 years or whatever. So I did read about this back in a newspaper a while ago. It talks about Project Liberty, which is, I think Gavin Wood himself is part of. And basically it says that he met with this guy, Frank McCourt, an executive chairman at McCourt Global. And they announced that Project Liberty is building a consortium to purchase TikTok and re-architect the platform to put the control in, the people in control of their digital identities and data. If you guys know, I've been around for a while, you might have heard this Project Hero that I talked about before. And this is the problem that we were trying to solve, right? Abstracting away all the complicated things from the end user. So the interface is like nice, and it feels good. It just makes a lot of sense. And that is what, okay, sorry, let me start. So Project Liberty is aiming for decentralized social, like in a big way. And everyone's thought about it, right? We've all thought about it. You had like DeSo, decentralized social, come along, by big venture capitalists. You saw Friendtech come and take a stab at it. But when you have this guy, Frank McCourt, with like Tim Berners-Lee and everyone, billionaires who are now looking at how do we acquire TikTok? Now, is TikTok for sale, you might say? Well, the US does not want TikTok in America anymore. It wants to kick it out. It thinks that China is spying on them. Let's take a look at the amount of users on TikTok. 1.582 billion versus X, 600 million. Now, what I'm going to do real quick, and to take a little segue over here, I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to say, because this is, to be clear, this is not for these billionaires to buy the whole TikTok, just US TikTok. So let's see, how many monthly users are on TikTok in USA? Drum roll, please. 150 million monthly active users. Okay, now let me put that in contrast for a second, right? Okay, let's go to this. Like, how many monthly active, let's say wallets, wallets or users are on Ethereum? And from what I said before, I think there's about 400,000 daily active wallets. So Ethereum has around 5.2 million monthly active wallets. This figure includes wallets that have executed at least one transaction during the month. Ethereum ranks third in terms of active addresses, following BNB Chain with 13.3 million and 5.8 with Solana. Now, let's put this in perspective. 5.2 plus 13.8, well, so 5.2 plus 5.8 is 11, plus 13.3 is 24.3 million. That's still less than 5 times the amount of US-based TikTok users. That's nuts, ladies and gentlemen, right? So if this happens, where TikTok is purchased by this consortium essentially, and they actually build it on the framework, Project Liberty, which is actually the one on top of that is, I forget what, Fraction or something like that. But they're also using this decentralized social network protocol, DSNP, from Project Liberty. Essentially what that allows you to do is it allows you to create a user account and take your data, own your own data, monetize your reputation, monetize your identity, and have your identity and your data be private if you want it to be private. And if you want to share things with people, you can get monetized for that as well. One of the things that I really like about this whole idea is that I know that Gavin Wood himself has been working with these guys at Liberty, and Gavin's a hardcore decentralization guy, right? So he's going to say, no, you guys, if we're going to do this, let's do it right so that it can't be shut down. And then here's the real Trojan horse. Imagine that these guys, and I'm guessing they probably already thought about this, but imagine these guys buy the US version of TikTok and they decentralize it completely. And now what happens to a decentralized protocol? Well, the whole world can use it. And so imagine that the whole world starts to be able to use this US decentralized, not US, this decentralized version of TikTok. So same user experience, maybe even better in the way that, that you'll start earning revenue for your creator rewards much more than TikTok or YouTube or anything else, or even X for that matter, because all of the revenue that is generated will probably go back into the token that accompanies TikTok on Polkadot, right? And that's always the best. Always the best is when you can use something, it feels identical to its existing thing before, but you get more value out of it, or you make money, or it's cheaper, or whatever. That's the beauty of peer-to-peer networks. So listen to this real quick. This is Raoul Pal and Gavin Wood here.
So once Jam is out, the next problem that all blockchains face is scaling usage. How are you going to approach that?
Present blockchains don't provide decentralized block space, like high quality block space, at a level that makes sense for most real world applications. You normally have to pay too much. The fact that you have to pay anything at all, the fact that you have to go through an exchange and buy ETH to use any Ethereum. I mean, I know this is something that they're kind of fighting to get around, but realistically, that's not going to change for some time.
Ooh. I hope I don't get copyright for the music. Anyway, look, he says basically, oh, wait, hold on. So what are they talking about? They're talking about basically, I'm not going to play the rest. They're talking about this change from Polkadot 1 to Polkadot 2, right? And this parachain model, if you can imagine it like a circle and then 100 blockchains that spin off of it, because Polkadot is a layer 0 and the other blockchains are layer 1s. You had this weird model before where like there was 100 parachains maximum and you had to bid for them and you had to commit to essentially being there for 2 years and paying people in your native token for them to lend you the DOT to stake so you can get that spot. But Gavin actually went and listened to him talk when I was in Portugal 2 years ago or something. And he was saying like him as a developer, he didn't really like that because, if he just wants to mess around with something and spin off his own blockchain real quick, he wants to be able to like jam out in it and play around with it without it having to, be linked to that circle, that relay chain. And so essentially what they're doing is converting it to more something like ETH on the base layer with all these roll-ups, which are formerly parachains, and you can have basically infinite of those. And they can all natively talk to each other, natively swap assets around. So it's kind of like the problem that they're trying to solve for on ETH right now, where if you're on some layer 2, you have to bridge to that layer 2. But if you're building on Substrate, and he talks about this more, I did a bunch of research before this video. If you're with Jam, essentially this kind of huge network of the base layer and then all these layer 1s that can be spun up as simply as like a smart contract. So everyone can customize their own blockchain if they want to. They can abstract away all the complicated parts and they can build their own application-specific blockchains. And it's fast. Like right now, the entire capacity of the Polkadot network if all 100 parachains were active, would be around 1 million TPS, which is way faster than any other blockchain infrastructure. Why is that? Well, they introduced this thing called async backing, and essentially every parachain could hit about 10,000, theoretically 10,000 TPS per blockchain. And you combine that with 100 blockchains, you get yourself 1 million TPS for the entire network. And that would be the fastest and most scalable blockchain ecosystem in the world that can talk to everybody else. Now, who else is using Substrate? Well, BitTensor Tau is using Substrate. Based AI is using Substrate. And many other layer ones like LF0 and many more are using Substrate because it's a great interoperable framework. And all these blockchains that use Substrate, including all the layer ones that are part of the Jam, the kind of blockchain as a service from DOT, but plus all the other ones like Based AI, like BitTensor Tau, these guys will all be able to talk to each other natively without bridges, communicate with each other freely without bridges, and it's going to build this internet of blockchains that we've all wanted to see. So, and not only that, he talks about the fact that they're building it in a way that any developer can basically build any kind of software on top of any Polkadot chain or any Jam contract or whatever in any language that they want to, pretty much. And that's going to open it up from having to know Solidity, having to know Rust. But the core component is Rust that's all built into, so the security is also up there as well. So coming back to this part, I'm gonna wrap this part up pretty quickly, but there's a few other reasons. So people expect, Sol and maybe XRP to be the next, ETF. But the fact that DOT has been working with the SEC to become a software and not a security is pretty promising as an opportunity. Plus, you've got different institutions that are holding DOT on their balance sheet. If staking becomes legal from the SEC or from a framework of the ETFs, Polkadot has staking, and it's about to get crazy new utility in the not so distant future. At least we will start to see maybe some anticipation building up if this deal. So what's my takeaway from this right now? Am I going to go ape into DOT like crazy right now? No, I'm still holding quite a bit. But if I didn't hold any right now, would I go ape a bunch? And so for me personally, I would probably go get a bit of exposure in order to not miss a crazy, insane pump. If this TikTok news ends up materializing, it's going to be big. And the whole takeaway from that was, like I asked ChatGPT over here, there's 150 million users monthly on that are using the US version of TikTok. Now look at this no, we already did that. So there's basically, TikTok itself is probably more monthly active users than all of crypto combined. Let's ask that kind of question. How many monthly active users / wallets in crypto? I don't know how to ask the right question here. Let's see. 50 million. So 50 million. So if this deal with TikTok goes through, it could instantly make the Polkadot ecosystem 3 times more transactions than the entire crypto industry combined. That is a game changer. That is global adoption. And the infrastructure that provides something like that will instantly skyrocket up the charts and melt faces. And the fact that this thing has hardly been moving since 2021, in fact, they made a meme coin called Dead, makes me pretty bullish. And I believe that it's a good idea to have at least some exposure there. Now, would I put a bunch in here? No, not yet, right? Because I think it largely depends. Because the marketing isn't very good from Polkadot, it largely depends on if they're able to land an account like TikTok, and then it's game over. So how I see TikTok right now is you're probably not going to go down, probably not anymore at all in this bull run, because it's pretty much already extremely low. But if you are in this and it doesn't, and the deal doesn't go through and it continues to be boring, then you might risk some of the upside. But the downside is minimal, other than opportunity cost. The upside is insane, right? The upside is insane. Imagine that, because also Polkadot is more secure than Ethereum. It's more versatile. It has, like, it's built in a way that even these kind of like roll-ups, these jam blockchains that are going to be built, it's way more composable or interoperable than Ethereum layer 2s, where you have to bridge and do all this stuff, and it's complicated. With all of the roll-ups, whatever they're going to call these jam things on Substrate, they all talk to each other natively. So there's no more need for bridges. You just send assets across. And I'll tell you, this is a spoiler alert before we move on. Polkadot is what Ethereum 2.0 wanted to be. Now, again, not financial advice. I'm not advocating to go buy it either. But the run-up on this thing could be potentially insanely massive. You also don't have a lot more VCs dumping on you or anything like that. So it's like a $10 billion valuation for DOT. Where are we essentially in the overall market cap of the next biggest? Just to get to Ethereum's, you're talking about a 9 times 6 is 50. So you're talking about like 9 times 5, 40. So about a 5x just to get to where Polkadot or Ethereum is now. However, again, remember, if Polkadot actually gets something like TikTok, it has more transactions than every other cryptocurrency blockchain in the world combined times 3, which would make it much, much, much bigger than Ethereum if you're looking at something like that metric, right? Which is adoption. And that's huge. And the fact that it's not registered as a security, that it's never been called one, makes me quite bullish. Again, I'm not saying to go ape into it hardcore. This video is about bringing attention to you guys to things that maybe you're not paying attention to because you're too focused, paying attention to memes. Next one is RWAs. It's going to definitely take advantage of the Ethereum narrative. We saw BlackRock deploy their BIDL fund on Ethereum, and Ondo itself has contributed to $195 million of the $448 million under management tokenized on the Ethereum fund from BlackRock. That is pretty big. Remember, guys, I brought you Ondo basically when it launched at 23 cents.
Ondo got a little bit of FUD the other day because it had some.
First time I talked about it over here was at 23 cents. How's it doing today? $1.16, right? So about 5x. Look at this chart, guys. 23 cents here. We talked about it right here. And now it's all the way up here. That's what I'm talking about. Do I think it's anywhere close to done? No. Not even close to done. You've got essentially, let's just double check something. Let's go back here. Ondo. It's trending, of course. And you've got it sitting right now at 11 billion FTV. It's basically the institutional chain, right? The institutional chain. And so this is the easiest thing for Wall Street to put their money into because it's literally like buying BlackRock products, right? And so it's kind of like the crypto leverage position on BlackRock and RWAs, but you get to buy the cryptocurrency. You can't go and buy the Bitcoin spot ETFs, but you can buy the cryptocurrency, the Ondo governance token, and get direct exposure to everything that's happening with Larry Fink and the other ETFs and the exposure to tokenization. So if you're bullish on, like Larry Fink says, if you're bullish on the future of tokenization of everything, definitely going to want to have exposure to Ondo. Not financial advice. Let's talk about ETH beta plays. You can see that in a sea of red earlier today, the only thing that was green was Link. Why is that? Well, if you guys know, if you watch my channel a lot, you know because it's CCIP. And it's because CCIP has this partnership with DTCC, which transfers, it's the money settlement layer for the entire America and then some. And it's growing, right? So in 2021, it settled $2.4 quadrillion in value. And in 2023, it did $3 quadrillion in value. And I'm guessing in 2024, it will probably do 3.5 or 4 quadrillion dollars in value. And if Chainlink becomes the infrastructure and they already have the partnership and they've already done their trials and all this kind of stuff, they flip on the fee switch and CCIP, Chainlink, and the Link token benefit from a really, 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 really small fee percentage on all of that volume, which is massive. Now imagine that going back into the Link token economy. And this is why, and Chainlink, if you're not familiar, you should be, its objective is to work with all the existing infrastructure and be able to connect all private and public blockchains so they can all talk to each other, they can all send value across to each other, and no one has to worry about the bridging part. It's taken care of for you by CCIP protocol. So Link, as you guys know, I may or may not, I made this video essentially when I felt like last time it was ready to break out like crazy. Literally, I made the video at $7, right? Here, guys. And I said, I'm buying $1 million of it. Here. Bam, right here. And would you know it, it's looking like it's getting primed, ready for another breakout. Of course, it has to break some resistance here, but it also hasn't been the fastest moving horse. But when it comes down to low risk and massive upside, it's sitting at $17 right now. My bull case for this thing, when it actually starts being adopted and fully integrated into the financial infrastructure, SWIFT, DTCC, banking and systems, my bull case is $1,000. So you're talking about, 250, 300x from here in, that's not financial advice, actually more than that, right? Yeah, if it was $20, it would be 500x to 1,000. Now, that sounds crazy, I know, but to be the connector of the future of all digital assets, the thing that allows all the blockchains to work together and transfer value all over the world, that thing has an insane upside value. So in today's video, guys, we're basically talking about things that, but from a I guess if you would ask me from a confidence perspective right now, how do I feel like if I had $10 to put into, DOT or Link, what would I do? Well, right now it would be Link, because I just know that these partnerships are already in the works. They're going to get done. It's going to happen. And people just aren't pricing that in. They just don't get it, right? They don't get it. They think that something like Pyth is similar to Link, which is completely insane. But yeah, anyway, so that is Link. Now, we're gonna move into the Ethereum beta here, and Vitalik says, in my opinion, in 10 years, all rollups will be ZK, and will commit blocks with finalized state roots to it's complicated, blah blah blah. But ZK. Now, when I show you guys almost every time I pull up this Kaido screen and I show kind of the narrative, ZK is always on there and it's creeping up and up and up and up. And as ZK Sync gets closer to where is this little news article? I can show you guys quickly here. Bam. So first of all, there's $47 million in the last week or whatever that came into ZK Sync. And basically that becomes around what's going on here when Matter Labs announced their final network upgrade, which is going to hand over the project and make it decentralized. And how do you do by the end of June? And how do you do that? Well, you need a governance token, right? You need a governance token, and people have been anticipating the ZK Sync airdrop forever. And it's going to bring all the attention back to ZK Sync, and we are going to head into ZK season. Mark my words, in this video, we will head into ZK season where all the attention will shift to ZK. Why? Because we are told it's better than optimistic rollups. We're told it's the ultimate end game when it comes down to Ethereum scaling. And so they expect to do the TGE, or actually generate the ZK Sync token this week, and then have it start trading, or the airdrop happening when the governance goes live in the end of June. So we can front run that, right? We can front run that. Now, I didn't read the rest of this article, so So I guess there's this smog. Oh no, is this talking about Polkadot? I don't know. No idea, guys. Solana, yeah. I think this is all. The rest of it's bullshit. Probably don't listen there. But when you look at ZK Sync, first of all, let's go back and look at the L2 beat here. So L2 beat is kind of like an indicator of the entire L2 ecosystem. And when you look at when you look at the different L2s, you got optimistic, blah, 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 blah. And then you got ZK rollups, optimism, ZK rollups, Validiums, but it's ZK that is the most advanced technology, right? And so let's look at the size of TVL. Well, the one that launched recently that we were quite familiar with is Starknet, yeah? This is the one where everyone was complaining about the airdrop and how horrible it was. And they got the most TVL. However, don't be fooled, because the majority, 70% of this 1.05 billion is in their native token. Not like something like Linea, when you see that it's very, 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 it's right behind ZK, Starknet, but no native token in there because it's not minted yet. But in Ether and stablecoins, it's pretty much as big as this one, which is a much better indicator. This Starknet feels like FTX. They valued their in their own FTT token, right? It was complete Fugazi. And ZK Sync coming in here right behind Linea, also with legitimate TVL in Ether or stablecoins. And these are the two that I'm keeping an eye on right now. And so I want to go explore that ecosystem, right? Explore the ecosystem over here. And so I will make another video as we get a bit closer, and more time to dive in deeper into, because I really haven't explored those ecosystems so deeply quite yet. But when we do, one thing I do know is that on Linea, not easy, but it's always a good idea to have exposure to what seems to be the defining meme coin in that ecosystem. Now, it's true, there's not a lot of attention around Linea right now. And so this Foxy, which is literally, and if you don't know the story about Linea, it was the same founder, Joe Lubin, who's also a co-founder of Ethereum. Listen to this kind of stuff. So you've got Gavin Wood, co-founder of Ethereum, and now you've got Joe Lubin, who's also co-founder of Ethereum, who is a founder of Consensus, which created MetaMask, which is this little fox, the MetaMask fox over here, and that is a direct relationship, and saying that you're going to be airdropped this Foxy for people who use MetaMask. And so I expect that when ZK season comes, that you're going to be able to pick this thing up right now, and it's only a $39 million market cap. Not financial advice. I would say probably don't ape into this thing. Like do your own research. There's not much to research. It's a meme coin. I just told you everything you need to know. So of course that's a total gamble. Of course there's a chance that Linea could not pick up any steam, and that it could just all come crashing down. But when you look at, let's go back to L2B, and we look at Linea, and we see, actually no, let's go back over to here to DeFi Llama, and we look at Linea's TVL, you see it's exploding upwards, right? This is what you want to see. Just as of last month, it was kind of just going nowhere, and it's boom, boom, boom. This is a very good sign. This is what you want to look for. So you would be, essentially maybe getting the premier meme coin on Linea at a $40 million market cap. To me, again, not financial advice. And no, it's not something that I think is going to pop off overnight. But if you wanted to, if I was to play this right now, I already bought a bag. But if I wanted to play this right now, I would probably, I'd probably just DCA in, because look, it's just like, it's not something that I expect to completely explode. However, this is exactly the chart that you want to see for meme coins. You want to see this run up. You want to see this correction, another one, and then you want to see consolidation for a long period of time. And when we start to see this thing break up, basically over this line over here, so around 0.015, 0.016, and you get a confirmation above this line over here. So maybe it breaks out over here when ZK season starts at the end of next month, because when that ZK Sync token drops, and I think Linea's is dropping too, Yep. That's when you get this major run up, because this thing has been essentially trending just sideways or this kind of accumulation range all the way from essentially here to here. You know, you got, that's from, when is that? We've got over here, basically April. Yeah, so I mean, not so a month of this consolidation range. And you have another month of consolidation range. So you have 2 months of kind of trending sideways. People will start to, we're telling you this early. I think that attention will start to come here as this hype slowly starts picking up around the Linea and ZK Sync airdrop. Right now, all the attention, it was on Solana, then it was on Base, and then it was back to Solana again. And now it's kind of on Ethereum. And people are going to look for the next thing to front run. And right now, there's just no attention. Look at the volume is nothing. It's $218,000. So please, not financial advice, guys, at all. But okay, PepeCoin is in Forbes, the OG PepeCoin, the one I talk about in this channel a lot, and yeah. So it says a PepeCoin team member, Prometheus, says this DeFi cycle is unique. Some people are still greedy and only want to pump their bags, but industry stakeholders now focus more on incentivizing the good in product design, revenue model, etc., and ensuring the maximum value for its community. The greater recognition for what's real, while gimmicks or fake narratives are being called out. And as we are building genuine utility-rich ecosystems, DeFi is becoming bigger and richer, and as a whole. And I couldn't agree more. I had a conversation with a founder today who's building an amazing project. And we just jammed for a while because he just, he's like, Kyle, I had the exact opposite conversation with someone earlier today than what I talked with you about. Because I said, man, we need to start valuing assets in this space as they should be, with revenue generating protocols that incentivize users, incentivize community. That is where the future is. That's what Web3 is all about. I would know. I've been here for 12 years. And I'm telling you guys, it's a good idea to start positioning yourself in things that make sense, right? You can speculate. You can go to the casino. You can play games. You could gamble when you feel like gambling and risking things, right? Just understand that your gamble money is likely to go to zero, and you have to be prepared for that. But don't be dumb and put all your money over there. Look for things with solid fundamentals, solid revenue, and that project founders that want to take care of their community, that want to give back to the community. That's not value, these greedy value extracting, value suck, centralized companies that just want to take all the money out of everything, right?